Hello, good morning, everybody. It is major week, PGA Championship. It's going to be good. Massive points for our fantasy teams. And, well, Kit, you might need it after last week.
Yeah, I've been going along quite nicely, but I have to say the British Masters has been a bit of a spanner in the works. Yeah, my team didn't do great. I had Horsfield as captain, who did all right. I had Bob McIntyre was my best performing player. And apart from that, no one really did a lot. Ollison, not a lot. Keimer and Hogard missed the cut. So, yeah, not a great week, but great, as you say, that we come straight into now the PGA Championship as a major, huge race to Dubai points available. So an immediate opportunity to hit back. And that's the way I'm framing this, and that's the way I'm looking at it. So, your team did a little bit better than me, though, at the Belfry, right?
A little bit better. Andy Sullivan, I thought he was going to charge a little bit going into the back nine, and he tried to. Bob Mack, 9 and 10, I think, just cost him, didn't it? A couple of bogeys there. It was exciting until kind of the last 6 holes. But then, to be quite honest, I would have given all of my points up to see Richard Bland win. It was 478th time of asking. And as a player that, played a lot on tour and didn't win, it's admirable that he kept going. It really is, because I think I did it 13 years and didn't win, and he's done it for over 20. So I mean, I cried. I can't imagine. I don't even know the guy, but I cried. I can't imagine what it meant to him. So well done to him, and well done to Team Fandango for captaining Richard Bland. Now, normally we captain people that we think are going to win the tournament. So, I don't think, not that he didn't expect to win it, but he's had a good go at winning it a fair few times. So well done, Team Fandango. And he had Guido as well. So, good week. But like you say, Belfry, nah. It's all about Kiawah Island right now, isn't it?
It is, and it's going to be an absolute beast for this week's PGA Championship. 7,876 yards is the longest ever in a major championship. That's off the tips. So I think, depending on the weather, we're likely to not see it play at its full length every day. That's where every hole can be absolutely stretched to. Depending on what the wind's doing, I think some tees will get moved up some days, others different days, just to play around with it. So it probably won't play to its full length, but it's still going to be very long, obviously. Par 72, so there are 4 opportunities of par 5s to go at as well. Paspalum grass on the greens, which is what you have in Saudi. It's what you have in the sort of South American events a little bit as well, the Mayakoba, Puerto Rico Open as well. So courses of that kind of ilk. So I'm looking for a little bit of course form there. And obviously Rory Mcilroy is now the bookies' favourite. Why wouldn't he be, after what's been going on with him for the last year, the last 18 months? In some ways, he's the defending champion, because he won the last time the PGA Championship was at Kiawah Island 7 years ago. It's going to be a great week. But I find it really interesting because there aren't loads of players of the top players anyway, in great form, it feels like to me. Are you seeing it the same sort of way?
I mean, I saw a stat yesterday that 15 out of the last 21 major winners on the men's tour have been first-time major winners. So that really does work well into what you've just said there, isn't it? Like, there's no standout at the moment in the men's game. There's a group of them, like maybe top 10, top 15 in the world. But then you look, Matsuyama won the Masters, didn't he? So the PGA is the strongest field in world golf. The best of the best are there. Looking at the weather, they look like they might get away with it. It looks pretty sunny at Kiawah. Now, we're playing it in May. Last time it was played in August. Rory said it was a link-style course, but like you said, with the grass on the greens, you could still fly it and stop. He said it was almost a bit sticky. The greens never get overly fast, but it's more the protection from tee to green. I spoke to David Lynn, who came second to Rory there in 2012. And he said, look, I don't hit it particularly far. He did. He said, I really controlled my ball flight well in the wind. He said it was a real battle, and I enjoyed that. And he said, length is always going to be important, but he said, I think hitting fairways around Kiawah is going to be key. And he was just everything he said was like European golfer. He said, look at the leaderboard that was Justin Rose, Jamie Donaldson, Ian Poulter, Graham McDowell gave it a good go. All these guys, I think Harrington was somewhere there or thereabouts as well. It was a very European leaderboard at Kiawah. And I know what you're saying about Rory. I remember when he held his putt to win at Quail Hollow, and Rob Lee said that'll put him as favourite for the PGA. And I was like, he's never favourite for the PGA, and he is. So if it is horses for courses, and he is only performing well round courses that he likes, a quote from him, he loves Kiawah Island.
The distance thing's really interesting for me as well, because you reeled out some of the names there who are, as we know, Europeans, but also you'll be thinking, hold on, they're not bombers. And obviously it's playing a little bit longer.
Regulation is key for 2012.
Well, last night, Jordan Spieth, watching the AT&T Byron Nelson, when he came off afterwards, he got asked a question about it, and he described it as a second shot golf course. So I think there is a huge emphasis on strokes gained approach and greens in regulation, proximity to the hole, that kind of thing. But you just can't get away from the fact it's long. And I know I look at, can someone hitting it 290, 295 off the tee over 72 holes really compete around there? Also, of the 4 par threes, the shortest is 197 yards. Mm-hmm. So irrespective of how far you're hitting it with driver, there's the fact that, a shorter hitter going into 197 is going to be hitting 2, 3, 4 clubs, potentially more than someone like a DeChambeau or a McIlroy if he really gets swinging well at it. That just feels too much to overcome over the course of an entire tournament for me. You don't have to be a bomber, but you can't be short. I don't think you can be shorter than average. So that does take some out for me. And it's going to play very different to last time. Last time it was at Kiawah, later in the year in August. They had a load of rain leading into it, so it was playing soft, which obviously tends to suit Rory Mcilroy quite well also. This year, coming earlier in the season, it's going to be a bit firmer, a bit faster, a bit closer to that linksy kind of feel that you've alluded to. It's by the coast. There's always a bit of wind there, even if it isn't windy. So how are you approaching picking your team? What are you looking for from a player that's going to do well at the Ocean Course?
First on the list, Victor Hovland. He won Mayakoba, he won Puerto Rico. Those courses have that style of grass that you were talking about there. I mean, the guy's in form. He's just come off the bat. Did he play? I don't even know if he played this week, but the last 2 weeks
he didn't play this week.
Tied third. And looking at it, he's second in birdies. He hits it over 300 yards, but he's still hitting over 60% of fairways. So like you say, he hits it long enough, but he does hit it straight enough as well. And I delved a little bit further back into the amateur days, obviously, because he's only just become a pro. He's won the US Amateur at Pebble Beach. So, okay, it's the other coast, but it's still that linksy ocean course. And then there's a course in Sydney where he played the Australian Open. He came 13th in the professional event, and that's the Lakes Golf Club. And I played that, and it's very similar looking with the big bunkers and the undulations. And the only thing that might put people off is the lad's short game. But I have to say, from a professional opinion, how much he has improved in the last year is phenomenal. I mean, when he won his first PGA Tour event, he actually even said, I cannot chip. It was quite a strange interview to see somebody win and then say that I'm not very good at that. And recently, his short game has been really, really quite good. So right away, and obviously he's European, so he's in it for me. His consistency is phenomenal, which is then where I go into the John Rahm as well. John Rahm, for me, he's won the Irish Open. He's won around Torrey Pines. He's a top 10 machine in major championships. Yes, he's not won this year, which would have been nice for him to do, but everything suggests, like, I thought John Rahm would be favourite, and I think when you look at the betting sites that maybe look a little bit more into the statistics, Jon Rahm is favourite and Rory's second. The more popular betting sites where people are just kind of heart over head have gone Rory. But yes, Rahm is very much up there for that. I mean, there is so many more stats I could do. He likes a Pete Dyer designed golf course. He's done all right around Sawgrass. And I also think back to the PGA Championship for me is always been the ball strikers tournament. Jason Day, Rory Mcilroy, Brooks Koepka, Jason Duffner, that type of player. And I just think, what's he said? He's had 9 top 10s this season. It's good. It's good golf. So he's straight in. Those two, without question, for me. Who are your definites?
I'd agree with you on those two. Another little thing to look at here, actually, is that course form correlates quite well with Pete Dye designs, which you've mentioned, but perhaps even more strongly with the PGA National, where the Honda Classic is played, and Quail Hollow, where the Wells Fargo is played. That was obviously only a couple of weeks, but generally, players that do well at those two events did well at Kiawah Island when it held the major before. So it's not a huge amount to go on, but certainly thinking about that style of golf course, how they look, how they play, you can see that. So I've also factored that in a little bit. So those two players you've mentioned there, straight in for me. Hovland, agree about his short game. I mentioned doubts about it earlier this year in one of these. I think it might even have been the Masters preview, perhaps. My doubts have gone. He's not a brilliant short game player, but he's now more than competent enough, and the improvements are there for all to see. So fair play to him for doing that. I don't think it will be considered a weakness anymore, just not a strength. My others, Rory McIlroy is going in. It's hard not to. I've written in previews about it before. When it comes to a major, it doesn't really matter the form of Rory. You always just kind of go, it's Rory though. He's just class. He stands out. And, maybe he won't contend, but he's got every chance of getting a backdoor top 10. Now, coming off of the win at the Wells Fargo, at a course where he's won before in the PGA Championship, with what he's been doing with Pete Cowan and Bob Rotella, importantly as well, seemingly starting to take shape. Was he vintage Rory A game when he won at Quail Hollow a couple of weeks ago? No, he wasn't, but he still won. So he's got to go in. My fourth definite is Justin Thomas as well. He won at Sawgrass earlier this year. His form's been a little bit in and out, and obviously there was that controversy around what he said earlier this year, and I think that knocked him more than it might have done other players, and that's been evident. But I love the way he fits this golf course, frankly. He's a great iron player, hits a lot of greens in regulation, very high up in strokes gained approach, as well as having a decent amount of length. And the other thing that I've noted down here is that the major that he won was the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Said that I'm drawing comparisons there. He's also won a Honda Classic. So there's just a lot of little boxes being ticked for me with JT. So that's my four. The two that you've said, plus McIlroy, plus Thomas, are my definite four. Another one that I'm erring towards is Colin Murrakawa. Although not the longest, still long enough, and just probably the best iron player on the PGA Tour at the moment. And especially good in those mid to long iron ranges, which he has to hit a little bit more than other players because he doesn't quite have that crazy length. But he can hit a 6 iron where most players are hitting a 9 iron anyway. So he's defending champ, there'll be pressure, there's all those other things. But beyond those four, no one was really jumping out at me. And Morikawa just seemed sensible. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you mean. He's 6 in driving accuracy as well. So he's not only accurate into the green, he's accurate off the tee. So that's another thing. I didn't delve too much into your Wells Fargo, Quail Hollow, but actually the guy that I've picked fits very nicely into that, and that's Abraham Answer. I didn't think he should particularly play well around Quail, but he came second. He's 13th in scrambling this year. He hits 70% of greens in regulation and 72% fairways in regs. So, okay, he's not the longest, but I'm hoping there's going to be, if he hits the fairway, he might be able to get a bit of chase. The guy shapes his golf. I love guys that shape their golf ball, and that's what Abraham Answer does. And okay, he's not won yet. But then again, that's my stat of the last 15 out of 21, have been first time major winners. He's on nice form, and he's just a guy that I think has got the imagination. This is not your regular PGA Championship. It's not just a big field in the nicest possible way, with 18 flags in it. This is a proper golf course where you've got to think about it, and which is why I'm erring away from Bryson, because I mean, I just don't think. I think if he misses it left or right off the tee, it's going to be really punishing. It's going to be more USO. Well, I hope it is more US Open style than your regular PGA. So that's why I'm erring away from Bryson. But the couple ones that I'm looking at, I do think you're right with Colin Murrakawa. I think most people are going to pick about the same four. And then it's the two, isn't it, that we've got to think about. So Patrick Reed, he's the one that kind of nobody wants to put in, but everyone kind of should. Really good record around Torrey Pines. Got good short game. Fits the bill for this type of golf course. And then what about Tommy Fleetwood?
See, he's a sneaky one because I was thinking, okay, links and wind then. If the wind does get up and it is going to have this linksy feel, who for me stands out as a player that will handle that well and is a decent links player? And you know what? There weren't that many that jumps to mind because they don't play it that often. I guess you don't get to see them do it. But someone who can handle that is Tommy Fleetwood. He's interesting because he wasn't initially in my sort of, as I narrow it down to sort of 10 or 15 guys, he wasn't in that initial narrowing down. And then actually he's come back into my thinking, interestingly, just purely because I was looking at it and going, well, actually, I'm not sure how many of these guys I fancy or have a proven record if the wind does get up. Tommy is one of the few you can almost rely on in that. He's got that great little sawn-off follow-through. He hits brilliant punch shots. Most of his irons, he likes to fly it down a little bit anyway. We know he's really effective with sort of a fairway wood and stuff. So if he's got any of them into the par fives. Answer was the one that you mentioned there that really jumped out for me. I immediately, before I started doing any research, I thought, I quite like Answer this week. And then I saw that he's 162nd in driving distance. Like he is, I've already said I don't think someone below average driving distance can win it or compete. And for that reason, I kind of, everything else about him stacks up at this place. It's just, I just don't think he hits it far enough. I would love to see him do well. And I think if any of these shorter hitters does, he would be my favourite amongst the shorter hitters to make a bit of a move. But I can't get over that. It's 7,800 plus yards. And he's well below average in driving distance on the tour. I want to be able to see past that, but I can't.
I'm going to throw Tony Finau at you because for every other stat he fits other than a win, right? And I don't necessarily think he's going to win. We always say this, but I was flabbergasted that he's had 8 top 10s in the last 12 majors. Just think about that. That is insane. And guess where he has won? Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that's the big one. That's the one he has got on the CV.
This is where that stat really comes into it. Yeah, he's won at Puerto. And he ranks 9th in approach play. He's one of those that if you've got 5 and you just need another one, I just feel like Finau's quite a safe bet. He is quite. Yeah. And Big Tone, listen to this. Last year, he had a Sunday stroke average of 71.54, and this year it's 69.64. So the lad is improving. So you never know. But he is one, if you can't think of another person, and that's a horrible thing to say, whack him in, because I can't see him ever letting you down. Have you got any kind of outsiders that somebody might not have thought about?
Yeah. And that's the thing. And you mentioned it there. And actually, I've said before, I'm normally quite safe, especially in the majors, but I am willing to actually chuck in 1 or 2 outsiders this week because, as you say, we've picked those top 4 or top 5, and there's no one really jumping out at me for a 6th pick. There's no one that's standing. Normally, it's like there's 7 or 8 I really, really like, and it's whittling it down to the 6.
Yeah.
This week, there's sort of 4 I really, really like, Colin Murrakawa is a safe bet. And then no one's really doing it for me hugely. So I'm like, actually, maybe let's take a punt. So a couple of names that I've looked at in that regard, Garrick Higgo, he's just been in brilliant form. You know, the boy gets it out there. He's long. He's won twice in the last few weeks. Yeah. He just looked like a really good all-round game. We've waxed lyrical about him on here before. He's got everything, imagination with the short game, great touch, which you're going to need here. He ticks a lot of boxes. The only doubt is we haven't really seen him perform in America, and this is his major debut. So, but everything else, you would think he's got to be considered. I also kind of have a sneaky little feeling for Matt Wallace as well, actually. He's just ticking along quite nicely. He's gritty, he's a grinder. I know how much he wants to get into the Ryder Cup this year, and the performances in majors are going to be so key to that. I don't, there's just something that's ticking away with me that just says, you know what, do I think he'll win? No. Do I think he can get a top 10? Absolutely. I think Matt Wallace is well worth consideration as well. And just look at Schwartzel coming off of a good result this week. He's looked reinvigorated since the Zurich Classic with Louis Oosthuizen. He's looked like major winning Charles Schwartzel again. So I would consider him. And another one that I will chuck in is Wacky Neiman.
Yeah.
Who people might not know he's available in this game, but similar to Answer, he is. Very good iron player, long, top 10 driving distance on the PGA Tour. So gets it out there. Good iron player.
Hits it
Scrambling
low,
might let him down. Yeah, scrambling might let him down a little bit, but I think Neiman I'm considering as a little bit of an outsider as well. And he's been in good form this year, uber consistent, just makes a lot of cuts, a lot of top 20s, has come close to getting a win a couple of times this year. Start of the year, brilliant in Hawaii, those first two events, second in both of them. So I think he's worth a shout. Who are you looking at as a bit of a curveball?
I've got two. I just need to check one's actually a member. But my first one's Brandon Grace, so South African lad. Yeah. Did win in Puerto Rico this year. I won't think feature too high on people's radar, but because he can be a bit inconsistent. The only thing that threw me is I saw a photo of him and he's taking his coach for the first time to the PGA. He's not seen him in over a year because he's South African. And you know when you're like,
warning stuff.
Yeah, you're doing really well, don't do that. But as I say, he's won this year. His best finish was at a PGA Championship, round Whistling Straits, similar type of test. Has won in Qatar, has a 62 around Royal Birkdale. Is somebody that does perform better when it's tougher and he's around better players. So yeah, that's somebody that I think could sneak in. Could be just throw him in there. It's more about how he suits the golf course, I would say, rather than his stats. And I just need to ask you, is Grielo a member of the European Tour or not now?
I think he is. Let me just double check this, because I hadn't considered him. And then I was doing a couple of bets last night and I saw that he was at 125 to 1 and I thought, oh, I quite like that. So I've put money on him.
Yeah, while you're looking, I'll explain why. So if he's not in it, you want to chuck a bit of money on him. So he is top 50 in the FedEx at the moment. His best finish is at the Mayakoba. He's had 3 top 10s there in the last 5 years. He's had 2 top 3s at Puerto Rico. He's not amazingly long, but he's incredibly accurate. He ranks 3rd in greens in regulation and 4th in proximity to the hole. He is my little Colin Murrakawa type player. So that's why he's doing all right this year. And when he gets a sniff, I like him. He don't go anywhere. So yeah, if he's available,
I like him as well.
Potentially.
But unfortunately, he's not available.
No, available. That's what I thought.
Worth it.
Yeah, maybe.
So.
Yeah. I think we've gone pretty big with our players this week, Kit, and I think you have to with the PGA, with the majors.
Yeah.
You've got to go home rather than away, I suppose, in the betting and your team. But we'll see. I mean, the Masters, no one picked that winner. So
Speaking of the Masters, Zalatoris.
Yeah.
Again, he, long off the tee. He's fourth in strokes gained approach this year as well. So he takes advantage of the positions he puts himself in, sort of solid around the greens, 26th in greens in regulation as well. So he ticks a lot of boxes. Again, he's someone I'm definitely considering for that final spot. I put money on him for the Masters, didn't have him in my fantasy team. So it was a bit of a double-edged sword there. I'm kind of thinking I don't want to make the same mistake again this time. And he's shown unbelievable consistency. He's already got that second at the Masters, a sixth in the US Open last year as well. So I think Zalatoris is worth considering. Are there any danger players, perhaps traps for you, guys who have got big reputations, who people might be thinking about, but you want to steer clear of? You've mentioned DeChambeau already, of in that regard.
I'm not messing with DeChambeau at the moment. I don't think he's quite. I mean, the thing is with him, he could easily come and win. I don't even know. I can't even believe I'm going to say this. I think Rory might be one for me.
Oh,
I know, and I am like, what a fan I am of Rory. He'd shown nothing until Quail, nothing. Well, for him, you know what I mean. So yeah, he was the one that I was just thinking. I've never ever left Rory Mcilroy out of my six when he's been available. Never.
That would be a brave call to leave Rory out this week.
Yeah. I'll probably bottle it and then put him in anyway. Let me just see. Are we allowed to pick at the minute? Because we are doing this quite early. Let's see what's at the end.
Yeah, I think it's open to picks. I mean, I echo your sentiments on DeChambeau. I feel I don't like him in windy places, to be honest. Like Saudi Arabia was a great example earlier this year. Mm-hmm. It was an absolute bomber's paradise. He was in better form then than he is now. He went over there, the wind blew a little bit, and also the similar types of greens, and it just didn't happen for him that week, and he got frustrated and he didn't hit enough fairways. I can see the same thing happening again this week. Other people to steer clear of: Patrick Cantlay's form's just dived off of a cliff, 3 missed cuts, I think his last 3 starts. I'm not feeling that. Sergio Garcia is someone who statistically I think fits this course pretty well, but he's also coming in off of a run of missed cuts as well, 3, I think. So, you'd be taking a bit of a chance, a bit of a risk with him. To be honest, yeah, Justin Rose, who showed really well, obviously, at the Masters, but it was the great opening round, a good back 9 in the second round, and then he just tried to hang on over the weekend, and I'm not sure. I think he'll make the cut, and I think he'll do all right, but I can't see him. He's not making enough birdies and hitting enough really good shots to contend in a major at the moment, I don't think.
Yeah, I would normally think Tyrrell as well. Put Tyrrell Hatton in, he'd be really high up in my consideration for the 6 because he's got a good Dunhill Links record. Obviously, he's won there. Yeah. He's had COVID. He looks well actually, so he's not. I don't think it's affected him, but he's not played a bit, and it might have set him off. It might be absolutely fine, and he might have recharged and all sorts, but. He's somebody who don't quite know where he is at the moment because of having to take a few weeks off due to that.
Yeah. I think betting-wise, I'd be tempted by Hatton because he's 45 to 1, which for a guy who's in the top 10 and has such a good links record that he does and has shown he can actually win big events in the States, I think 45 to 1 represents brilliant value for him. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you that there's just a few question marks in terms of putting him in the 6, but certainly worthy of consideration. You've said Hovland and Rahm were your 2 favourites.
Yeah.
Which one of those is getting the captain's armband this week? Which one should we get our apologies in for?
Yeah, I know. I feel like I feel like putting Reed in and then just captaining him. So, right, yeah, I am going to go Jon Rahm.
Jon Rahm, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm erring towards.
He's going to win a major.
I've been saying that for the last 2 or 3 years about John. It's got to happen at some time. I'm erring towards Rory, actually, as my captain. It's very obvious. A lot of people are probably going to do it, but it makes it even more tempting knowing that he might not even be in your team. There could be a bit of separation there. So,
yeah. Oh,
yeah, it's
trust me, Wednesday night, I'll be like, Rory in. I never not put, I'll never not. I am a Rory loyalist. But I am just not tempted to jump on the bandwagon. I mean, I'm always on it, but not as much, just because don't want to put the pressure on him. Just leave him alone a minute. And then hopefully he'll come through and win. That's my, yeah. And also, let's be fair. If I pick him and captain him, he's never, ever winning the PGA. So maybe that's the way forward.
I don't believe in the captain's curse. I'm going to put you on the spot as well now for one of the outsiders. So say you've got that 5 and you're thinking, all right, I'm going to mix it up. Of the sort of outsiders we've mentioned, who's the one that you would have the most faith in?
Is Answer an outsider?
Yeah, Answer counts as an outsider, I would say.
Yeah, Answer then is mine.
Mine would be Zalatoris.
Good. Right. Well, let's see whose youngster does the best then.
I hope so. I hope that we do get a good week this week. So it'd be nice to have a bit of interest going into the weekend and the final Sunday. We've had it most weeks, but I missed it at the British Masters. Not really. You know, Bob Mack was there, but then the back 9 when he'd fallen away, it does add that extra element to it. So I'm hoping that we get a few guys. I'm sure we will with that selection. We've put a lot of names out there and a lot of
something.
I mean, Hovland, McIlroy, Rahm, Thomas, Morikawa. If one of those sort of, if you like, the big 5 that we're siding with, if one of those isn't in contention, I will eat my hat. I don't wear hats, but.
All right then. Right. Well, thanks once again, Kit. You have smashed it with all your advice for everybody. And thank you for watching. Please like this video, subscribe, comment below. Are you captaining Rory McIlroy? And should I? Right. Thanks for watching, everybody.